first page, we're just talking up to, so guys, for Algebra 2, we're talking up to number 12, okay? So it's just a matter of order of operations. You guys are overthinking order of operations, or you're just doing some things a little off, okay? So remember, we have to use that please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Now, it doesn't matter if you are in Algebra 1, Algebra 2, Algebra 3, Calculus, doesn't matter. It never goes away. It's always a thing you use every time you see an algebraic expression. So if we look at, we're going to work on the odds together, and then your job is going to do the evens. But if we look at this first one, we should do inside the parentheses first. You get 5, and then we do the division. So some of these, again, are going to be so simple, and they'll get a little more difficult as we go. Okay. Problem number 3. Do the subtraction if you can. Bless you. Do the subtraction if you can, then square it. That's 3 times 3, or 9. Now, let's just bump it up just a minute. And let's say that it is the expression x minus 3. So let's say there's an x there and not a 6. If there's an x there and not a 6, we can't do the subtraction first. We can't simplify that parentheses. So there's other rules we have to do. So we would want to write that twice. Then we would want to distribute everything. Now let's talk about the distribution rules. The x would multiply by both of those. So x times x, x squared, x times negative 3. Then the negative 3, and take the negative with it. Negative 3 times x, negative 3 times negative 3. So that's negative 3x plus 9, because that negative 3 times that negative 3 is a positive. And then you can combine some like terms. I noticed that some of you on the quiz were trying to, once you added the like terms, try to factor it more or do something more, but that kind of just puts you backwards. So why is that helpful? Don't go any further. If it says simplify, you go as far as you can, and you don't have to try to factor or do other things. So that's where you would leave it. Okay, let's do number 5. Number 5, again, we would move inside the parenthesis. We would get negative 4. No, we wouldn't. It's a multiplication, Mrs. Hahn. We would get negative 12 divided by negative 3. Now, you can think about it like negative 12 over negative 3, if that helps your brain at all. 2 negatives, when divided, make a positive. You don't have to put the plus. I'm just doing it there for a visual for you. And then 12 divided by 3 is 4. So our answer is 4. Okay. Don't overthink these. When you're multiplying or dividing, if you have an even number of multiplication or division symbols that are negative, if you are multiplying an even number of negative things, it will be positive. An odd number of negative things, it will be negative. So we had 2 negatives, it became a positive. Any questions so far? This should be nice. Okay, let's do number 4, or number 7. So I saw both 4s. Okay. We're going to do inside this parenthesis here, we're going to get negative 4. Because remember, if you're subtracting their different signs, or if you're adding in their different signs, you subtract and keep the sign of the bigger thing. So the 5, 1, it stayed negative. Here, this is the same as negative 4 times negative 4. So remember, again, there's 2 negatives there that are going to become a positive. Don't do, some of you I noticed, if there was a negative in front, you wanted to bring it in, don't bring it in until you've done the square. Order of operations says we have to square first. So that's going to be a positive 16. Now that negative out in front kept it a negative. So there is a hidden kind of multiplication here. 2 negatives multiplied together, since they're sitting next to each other, becomes a positive 4. And then the positive 4 and the negative 4 cancel, minus 16 is negative 16. Now, 9, are we good with number 7 before I move to 9?
Did you say it becomes a positive 16?
No, okay, it does, but that's a very good question. Okay, so this becomes a positive 16 in the parenthesis. So this becomes a 16.
So you can do it again.
Yes, because this negative is going to attach itself in front of the 16 that became positive. So we're really saying here the opposite of the positive 16. If you think it like that, that's a good way to think about it. So if you're subtracting a positive 16, you can think of it just as it becomes a negative 16. Any other questions about 7? Okay, now let's jump to 9. So we have nested parentheses here. We're going to just kind of work our way from the inside out. So think we're trapped on the inside and we have to get to the outermost layer. Now we can do this first front one, that's 1. And then if 2 parentheses are touching, you can just put a multiplication dot to remind you that's what that's doing. And then there's another addition, a parenthesis. This inner parenthesis turns into an 8. We still have something trapped inside of a parenthesis, so we're going to do it again. 1 minus 8 is negative 7. I've never been a fan of the multiplication x, so I don't use it too often because I don't want you to think it's like an XX. So I do use the dot notation quite often. And now it's just a multiplication from left to right. 1 times negative 7 is negative 7. A negative times a positive is a negative. 7 times 5 is 35. Do we have any questions about 9? Okay, now let's look at 11. 11 has lots of weird pieces and parts to it, okay? I don't like this, where they're showing that we are subtracting. Oh, that was interesting. We were subtracting a negative. I don't like that. So I would say right at that spot, let's immediately make that a positive. And I'm going to change, again, some of the notation just a little bit. So the only thing I've done is I've put some parentheses on the negative stuff. I don't like the way that was typed. I would never type that for you like that. I would type it more like it looks kind of like here. And even this I probably would have written like this. I don't like that, okay. 2 negatives next to each other, flip to a positive, and then it makes it look a little better, okay. Now, we have to go from left to right. There's no parentheses that have more than a number in it. So we have to go from left to right, and we have to do multiplication and division as we get to them from left to right. So if we note that, there's a division here we got to do. There's a division here we got to do, and then we're going to multiply, okay? So you just have to go from left to right, so be careful, okay? A negative 8 divided by a negative 4 is negative 8 divided by a negative 2 is a positive, and we know 8 divided by 2 is 4. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to go from left to right. 12 divided by a negative 6 is a negative 2. We still have times that negative 2 on the back that I haven't used. And now we have to still do this multiplication. Remember, multiplication and division go from left to right as we occur in the problem. So 2 negatives, again, multiply and give us a positive. 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, so everybody see how we got to that location. So it was just a big long line of stuff, not a lot of parentheses, exponents, anything. But it's so easy to make mistakes on this. You got to follow order of operations. Okay, 2 plus 4 is 6. 6 minus 3 is 3. 3 plus 4 is a final answer of 7. Do we have any questions about the order of operations stuff? So your job is to do the evens. And then as you go along, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.